Hi, everyone. I'm John Lux. I am the Executive Director of Film Florida. Welcome to Film Florida Friday. Film Florida Fridays are interactive conversations about current topics, initiatives, and relationship building in Florida's screen production industry. Today, we're having a discussion about equipment and equipment rentals. In a moment, we'll have our panelists introduce themselves, and I'll ask a few questions. During that time, we're going to ask everybody to keep their microphones on mute to avoid background noise. After we've gotten through our initial questions, we'll open it up to the audience for questions and conversation. At that point, please use the hand raising function, which is under the React button on the bottom of your screen, so we can call on you. We're going to ask everybody to keep their questions and comments brief in the interest of time and out of the fairness of others that want the opportunity. As always, Film Florida Fridays are free to attend, but we hope you'll consider donating $20.25 for our 2025 fundraising campaign. The donation link will be posted in the chat box, and you can always find it on our website as well. If you're not a member of Film Florida, we hope you will consider joining as well at filmflorida.org. With that, let's bring in our panelists. So let's start with going around our grid and doing quick introductions. Adam, go ahead first.
How you doing? My name is Adam Roback. I'm with Unique Producer Service. We're a grip and lighting house, rental house based in Miami, Florida. We've been in business a little over 50 years now. And yeah.
And Mario, how about you?
My name's Mario Deas. I've been in this industry in South Florida here for about since '93. I'm a Florida native. Came up as a PA. I came up the hard way, the PA, and worked my way up. And about 20 years ago, I started renting equipment or buying equipment for my projects and camera equipment, and it led into kind of then renting to colleagues and stuff like that, and then it grew from there.
And JC, how about you?
Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm JC Alvarez with Trade Audio, the walkie-talkie company and internet rentals. We've been local here also in Miami since 1990. Previous owner to the company was Mike Sharon, great person who really taught me the way of how to, move the equipment, rent the equipment. So I didn't start in production, but I started with Mike learning about production. And, we mainly work with all the film industry locally, and we ship nationwide. And just happy to be here.
Excellent. And we have another panelist, David Rojas from Anytime, and he's attempting to get registered, logged in and everything. He was having some computer problems. So we will probably have another panelist be joining us. But until then, Adam, let's go back to you. As a lighting and grip technician working with Unique Producers, tell us a little bit about your day-to-day.
Well, one of the great things I feel about being in the film industry, there is really no day-to-day. Every day is a little different. But for the most part, what we do is we'll get our order in, we'll talk to the clients, we'll see what their needs are. And then depending on, how big the order is, whether it's a big 10-ton truck or someone coming in their personal vehicle, we'll pull the gear, prep it, make sure everything works, and then load it for them. We schedule deliveries. Whatever the client needs to make their production go easy. And yeah, and then once the job's done, check it back in during the job. If there's any add-ons or something goes down, God forbid, we're there to help. So that's the typical day-to-day. But like I said, every day is a little different. There's no, some days if we don't have an order going out, we're cleaning gear, washing trucks, maintaining things. There's always something going on.
Tell us a little bit about the process somebody returns equipment, but they don't tell you that something was necessarily wrong. I mean, how thorough of an inspection do you guys go through to make sure that the next time something goes out, it's up to snuff?
So every time gear goes out, no matter what, we strike it, stands, we'll go up on risers, even though when it comes back, we'll do the same thing. So we job comes back, we check it in, we put it away. When it goes back out, we check it out again. So we're double checking things. A lot of the time, sometimes people will say, hey, we broke this, but a lot of times they don't. But we usually catch it. So it's kind of like a double check. As it comes in, we'll check it. as it goes out, we'll check it again.
Good. Now, Mario, your company, Mar Media Digital Cinema Rentals, offers top-of-the-line cameras, lenses, monitors, and more. How have you been able to build up and sustain the business?
The way to sustain it, I would say the leading driver has been client relations and customer service, really. You really have to kind of be in touch with the market, who your clients are, what their needs are, and maintain those relationships. This town is, it's not New York or LA, there's just a large constant volume of business, you know what I mean? So you really have to retain those clients and really kind of adapt and cater to them and make sure that you're in tune with what their needs are.
Yeah, that makes sense. JC, let's go over to you with Trade Audio. You guys focus on walkie-talkie rentals, audio systems, hotspot connections. How did you find this particular niche in the market, and how have you been able to see your business grow?
So we started off with, like I said, Mike Sharon and Heather Holmes, and Heather was a costumer on set, and I actually just told Mike one day, hey, we need some walkies on set. So he purchased 2 walkies, in the 90s, these really big, expensive walkies. And from there, we've just continued to grow. Same way of customer service, number one, the way we maintain our equipment, the way we check it out, check it in-house technician. Walkie-talkies are really thrown around a lot and bumped into things, dropped. We see all type of different stuff. So it's a very thorough check-in just to make sure that when it goes back out, it is in working condition and we can catch any loss and damages before. But we started with walkie-talkies. We've grown more in internet. After the pandemic, a lot of the shoots here wanted to connect to the directors and producers that weren't local. So we actually help them get a internet feed no matter where you're at. If it's a hotspot of any provider, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile. We also have bonded internet boxes that bond various providers together to give you a stronger signal. And in more remote areas where production likes to shoot in, sometimes in Mathis Hammond Park or areas that don't have good cellular signal, we provide Starlink satellite internet. So our big thing is just to keep you connected, whether it's walkie-talkies or internet.
Excellent. Now, our last panelist, David Rojas, has joined us, although now I can't find him on my screen. So David, go ahead. If you're still with us, go ahead and unmute yourself and introduce yourself. Now I can't find him, so maybe I lost him already. David? Okay. Maybe David's going to try and log back in. So we'll just keep kind of winging it here. Adam, let's go back to you, though, while we're waiting. In addition to renting equipment, Unique offers a network of skilled crew members like yourself. Share a little bit more about that part of the business where you guys aren't just a rental house, but you can also be a full service provider as well.
Yeah. So a lot of times, if it's a local shoot, these producers, they'll have their preferred technicians, whether the gaffer or key grip. But a lot of the out-of-town clients, New York, California, they come in not knowing, local technicians. So they'll reach out to us. So not only we could provide the grip and lighting, we could, like I said, being in business over 50 years, we have a huge Rolodex of qualified technicians. So we'll be able to match each person, each job. Whether it's a huge shoot, we have a gaffer key grip that can match that, or it's a small, interview style shoot, we have someone that can do that. So no matter what the client needs, we're here to help.
Excellent. All right. So I saw David joining us again. So we're going to pause here just for 1 second, see if we can get him. Let's see. David, I can't find you in my grid. So go ahead and just start talking so I can see you. We got a lot of people here today, so okay, still don't have them. Okay, so let's do a question kind of for the whole group. I'm sure it's challenging to stay up with the current technology, knowing your clients will always want the latest and greatest. How do you balance staying current with technology without unreasonable spending. Mario, why don't you start with that one?
Yeah. Well, one way is, look, I try to wait for clients to start requesting equipment before I start buying it. Over the years, 20 years of renting gear, I've made the mistake of trying to make a market for a piece of equipment. Something that interested me, something that I thought was pretty interesting or pretty cool. And you sometimes I've had equipment that certain cameras I've tried to put into the market and not give away, but rent, and they like them, but they want to stick with another piece of equipment. And what's popular in this market might not be popular in another market, or vice versa. So ROI is always a consideration for me too, just because equipment's expensive. There's a lot more equipment available now, but equipment's expensive. So you always want to watch and balance that line of, having the right equipment for your market. That's really the key thing, at least for me, is a big driver.
JC, how about you?
Yeah, same. I try to give what the customers are requesting, keep an ear, to what they're asking me for, and also our equipment is expensive. We're on the horizon now of what these tariffs are. A lot of our stuff is from Malaysia, and we're still waiting on any phone call now that we make. Our gear is gonna be more expensive. So our erosion too of our equipment, people lose our equipment all the time, break our equipment. So we have to go through that and make sure we have enough equipment to be able to supply the larger productions of 200-300 radios at a time, and also the smaller 10-20 radio jobs. So just technology has changed within the walkies. It's become more digital. Fortunately, in a way, the production likes the analog and they stick to the analog. So it's kind of up to us to really maintain the older equipment and make sure that that still works. And then ensuring that we have all original batteries. We don't work with anything aftermarket. Everything's original. We test our batteries and really, the programming of our equipment, the maintaining of it, and the battery life are really what set us apart, making sure that the radios work every time they're out there and get you the distance you need and the talk time that you want. Batteries aren't dying all throughout the set early in the morning,
That makes sense. Adam, how about you? Balancing technology advances versus ROI.
Well, Mario and JC are right. You don't want to jump the gun. A lot of times you see these new lights come out. You think they could be the next greatest thing. You invest, and then they collect dust. But again, you kind of want to wait until people start asking for things before you start investing big money into new equipment. But you also have to kind of be ahead as well. Some things you could tell it's going to be, things come out. You're like, yes, I know this could be popular. So you invest early. And so when they do ask, you have it. You're not, saying I have this and that. But the great thing about grip and lighting, a lot of times you could supplement until you get your, the light that people are wanting.
Yeah. So our fourth panelist, David, has joined us. We are appreciative of that. Thank you for kind of working through some of the technical challenges. So let's circle back. David, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us about your company.
Okay. You guys can hear me good?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. It's David Rojas. Sorry for my technical difficulties. I own Anytime Production Rentals. In fact, I registered my S corporation 20 years ago tomorrow. So 40505. And I do production supplies. So I am pretty much the one that makes everybody's production comfortable. Everything from, your tables, your chairs, your mag liners for camera, your air chillers to keep, everybody comfortable, heaters. I do a little bit of everything. And fortunately for me, I do have, thanks to Google, going back to 19 years now, I have everything from your weekend warriors, people having a party at Tropical Park and they want tables, chairs. I become like a party rental. And, it's mainly to make everybody comfortable and, also, everything from protecting houses or boats with aqua shield or layout board or floor matting. When you shoot at a mansion, I'm the guy that, installs layout board, or I sell layout board. We're doing a plywood job this weekend. There's a mansion where they don't want their pavers dirty and they don't want oil on their pavers. And so we have to put like 30 sheets of plywood. So We're the ones that try to facilitate productions, make you guys comfortable.
Now, I imagine, David, like because you may not be the quote unquote glamour part of the production world, that some of the things that come up for you are last minute emergencies, like, oh crap, we
Extremely.
forgot about it. Yeah, talk about that, like being you know, kind of an everyday part of your business.
Well, it's first of all, company's called Anytime, so we already opened that can, and I'm making new shirts right now, and to be honest with you, I've been thinking about doing one called APP, Anytime Production Paramedics, because we basically are non-stop 24/7. The weekends, the phones are forwarded to me. I mean, I get calls. The steamer broke. Rush me one. It's non-stop. We are the saviors. We're the emergency. Oh my gosh, we got to this studio and they don't have rehearsal mirrors. Do you have rehearsal mirrors? We do. Boom. So we are constantly non-stop on the go. Now we have the new show MIA, and they're just getting rolling. So they're tweaking everything. So one location manager likes two makeup stations per tent. The other one likes one. One likes a wardrobe rack in it. The other one doesn't. So right now I'm in the middle of tweaking so that we don't lose our marbles.
That makes a lot of sense. So, besides some of the stuff we've already talked about, let's talk a little bit about the challenges you face with each of your parts of the business. So, JC, let's talk a little bit about from your perspective. What are some of the unique challenges that you face when you're trying to provide your equipment?
So some of the challenges also last minute, a lot of last minute, after hours, weekends. We've had to set up a drop box where companies can deliver and pick up at whatever hour of the day, because it's not fun when you have to go out there in the middle of the night and be affordable and for those type of services. So one is anything after hours. Another thing is also the way equipment is returned. It takes us a long time to untangle balls of headsets.
Hmm.
We've become pretty good at that, extremely good, unfortunately, to be able to count and say the production, hey, you returned this amount of equipment, and without breaking it. So we're trying to see if maybe some hair detangler may work. Still haven't tried it, but so the way equipment is returned, making sure we sanitize it. People are talking on this, making sure we clean very thoroughly the headsets. Everything's barcoded, so we try to help productions ensure that they figure out who has what equipment, so they write their sign-out sheets. If they use them, they're very useful. Putting the number of the radio, putting the number of the headset, all our equipment is, like I say, barcoded to try to help. When that does work out, then at the end of the job, they know, hey, this person was missing or did not return this radio or headset, and we're able to track that person track that person down. And I'd say, just the rush, we try to be prepared and have orders that are set up prior. So when we get that last minute call at 5 o'clock, or, the traffic, managing various deliveries within a day is more of our challenges, but we try to use sometimes Uber, plus our delivery driver. And so those are some of the last minute L&Ds, stuff like that is kind of challenging to be able to have it ready for the next project,
And Adam, how about you? Challenges that you guys face?
It's kind of nice to hear JC say that, because I feel like we all go through the same thing. Everything he said, it's all the same. It's it's after hour, deliveries and pickups and questions and things happening. But no, a lot of the thing is weather and environment is a big challenge for us. When they have a shoot on the beach and it starts pouring down rain during the summer, and the truck, they wrapping in the rain, the gear comes back all wet. It's a big ordeal to clean everything, because steel stands rust, wet rags deteriorate. So it's a constant upkeep of the equipment. And then like shooting on the beach, which is a great part of shooting in Florida, but it brings challenges when the gear comes back super sandy, salty. So it's a constant maintenance of gear is, I think, one of the big challenges. And deliveries and rentals, it's all, but it's great.
Mario, I imagine you have some of those same things that Adam does, right?
We have the same concerns and the same challenges, but from my standpoint, I think the biggest challenge for me is really all the equipment that's coming out, all the new equipment that's coming out. Over the last, I'd say, 20 years back, the camera department went from an analog format, being film cameras, to a digital format. And the digital format, the manufacturers are updating constantly. So now you have, everybody's got a computer, everybody's got a phone. You don't update your phone every time a new iPhone or a new Samsung phone comes out, but they have a new one every year. And, computers the same. And these new cameras, which, probably the majority of productions out there, still some film jobs out there, but the majority of the jobs that any of these technicians in South Florida do are on digital cameras. And these digital cameras are updated constantly, and they're basically computers with viewfinders is what they are. So they are updated very frequently, and you have to stay on top of that. So that's one thing. And then there's a lot of what I would, you would call latent defects on a lot of these things, because like your iPhone doesn't tell you, hey, I'm going to break. You know what I mean? It just one day just breaks. So something could be working at the prep and it's fine. Then all of a sudden it gets on set and there's an issue and you have to pivot and adjust. And I'm a big proponent of, you have to, that's where customer service comes in. And you have to kind of be ready for anything to happen. And if you got to have two to have one, you got to have three to have two, and you got to have four to have three. You know what I mean? If something happens, you got to be there to say, I'll meet you at the shop, or I'll be on set and I'll give you another one. No problem. Because there's certain things you can't, fix on the spot. When there was a film camera, you could adjust certain things and you could see something start to deteriorate or malfunction, but it's not the way with digital cameras.
Yeah, yeah. David, let's go to the next question for you. Coordinating rentals can be overwhelming at times for a production. How do you help your clients through that kind of process in terms of reminding them what they may need, what, kind of you almost being the production coordinator for them?
It is insanity. If my office manager was here, because it's not just, a TV show, a fashion show, a client, a regular Joe Schmo, we constantly have to be on top of them with their emails, or, I have to tell them stop texting me, because if I don't pass the baton to my office, she's gonna kill me. She's gonna get, so there's a lot of, God forbid our computer freezes, or like my technical difficulty just getting on this meeting. So there's constant, like her and I, like I tell all our young guns, all my newbies, or my employee, like guys, like the attention to detail in our job is insane, because it's like, there's a change last night, or sometimes people are so, like, for example, on the weekends, people that know me, I'd rather be in the truck and I'd rather wash tables than be at the computer. I can't stand, I'm not a computer dude. So on the weekends, when I don't have my office manager and people are sending emails, hey David, you haven't gotten back to me, or I have to constantly tell my guys, hey, I'm loading this job, can you just check the email for me real quick, or I have to jump on my phone. Or I've even had some producers that have sent emails at midnight, hey, we changed our delivery to 6 a.m. tomorrow. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, why don't you freaking call me, dude? What kind of producer are you? Hello? And it's happened a bunch.
Yeah.
So people are very used to their computers, and there's a lot of trying to, when you were going back to what are the difficulties, or what are our challenges, a lot of our challenges are, like, say, for example, this week I have 4 commercials. I also have the new show, and I have a fashion show. Being on top of trying to accommodate every single client and keeping them happy. This one wants 50 black chairs, the other one wants only 30 beige chairs. And then how do I give them the 50 black chairs if I have 40 that are not coming back till tonight? And so we are constantly in logistics hell, especially right now in season. And then, of course, what happens, which drives me nuts, is we'll have like a week that's mellow, and then everybody, I call it, they release the Kraken. Everybody, mamas, decides to shoot the same week.
Yeah.
And then, and then trying to accommodate my normal Joe Schmo. I have these people that are doing trunk shows. I'm like, you guys read, like, what the heck's a trunk show? Trunk show are, these millionaires that they run my wardrobe racks, and they all drink champagne, and they sell designer clothing. And so I have a wide variety of clients, and our main thing is trying to keep everyone happy.
Yeah. Adam, talk a little bit about how you guys help customer service, from that standpoint of making sure, knowing that your clients may be a little bit overwhelmed, and ultimately, if you can help them on the front end, it's going to help you on the back end because there's going to be less fire drills.
Absolutely. Uh, like we understand that like in production, grip and lighting is one small piece of it. They're dealing with a lot of other things, camera and walkies and production supplies. So they have all these other things to deal with. So if we can make that side, the grip and lighting, as easy and seamless as possible, that's always our goal. Um, we'll scout jobs for people, to make sure. A lot of people will send in lists and incomplete, where you see like, they have this big 18K area max, but they don't have a stand for it. So it's our job to kind of look ahead to make sure they have everything they need. They get a generator, but they don't get the cable along with it. We'll try to catch it. So we kind of always try to double check the orders that come in, because like David said, you're constantly, it's a battle between keeping the equipment right and making sure we have everything.
Mario, talk about it from your perspective. Somebody orders, a camera package, and you know that package typically includes 5 different things, but they only mention 3 of them. Talk about how you have to work through some of those things to make sure that you are thinking ahead for the clients, so they're not calling with as many fire drills at the last minute.
Well, sometimes what we run into with that is champagne taste, beer budget. You know what I mean? That happens to us too. You know what I mean? So they'll request, some equipment and they just doesn't meet the budget that they have. So the first thing is trying to find the tools to execute what the director of photography, the vision that for the commercial, show, episodic, whatever it is, to execute that. The challenges that these guys mentioned are all I'm in agreement with, but some of them also too are, in South Florida, we have kind of a finite piece of some finite, equipment, there's what one director of photography might want to use to execute a project and shoot something. He might want these type of lenses with this type of camera. You might go to another director of photography and he might use something completely different to do the same thing. And some of that equipment might not be available locally. And if they do have the budget, it's your job, or at least my job, to kind of find it and provide it. And when I do that, and I might have to bring in something from out of town, now you're dealing with maybe FedEx, UPS, a shipper that is out of your control, And since COVID, we've had a lot of issues like that, where you ship a piece of equipment and you ship it in for the prep, and it's not available for the prep. So what happens? Now you have to kind of, provide a piece of equipment because you can't do it, it's not there. So you have to provide a piece of equipment that's an alternate, and you have to give your client some guidance, maybe through the producer, maybe through the production, but typically through the DP in my department, and might suggest another piece of equipment that might execute and do the same thing, or similarly, or close to what they want done. And ultimately, my department is quite a subjective department because, like I said earlier, somebody might have a choice to do something one way and might do it another. Somebody might do it in a different way. And we have to kind of ride that balance of meeting the budget, delivering on time, and having the goods to give them so they can have it on their set.
Yeah. I mean, JC, along the same lines, I mean, when people contact you for kind of the communication side of things, do they know what they need? Or a lot of times are you trying to ask them questions to pull out of it so you know what to provide them?
Yeah, just getting all the information of the customer, proper billing information, contact, delivery, when the equipment's going out, when it's coming back in is, very important. And it takes a long time. A lot of times, sometimes we get these beautifully detailed emails from different coordinators that, are on point. And we love that because it just makes us, quicker to get you the equipment you need. But we do have, all the last minute stuff that makes us run around, and all walkies, like I say, aren't created equal. We are kind of like one of the last things that productions think of I guess that's W walkies all the way down at the bottom of the butt. So when we do get that call, they're price comparing other companies, and our equipment does stand apart from just the quality of it. And all walkies, like I said, aren't created equal, because when you start to use off-brand equipment or aftermarket stuff, it just creates this big problem within production of various walkies that are damaged, and then they can't figure out what's the problem. They can't communicate, and it just brings a problem to the production. So we really try to be very price conscious, try to work with everyone's budget, and we're still going to give you the same quality no matter what. So I think that's one of the biggest things, just making sure that you have the right equipment and on time, and that it goes out and comes back when it said it was going to, so that we can count on that equipment for anything else.
Yeah. So to all of our audience members, we're going to do a little bit of story time with our panelists here, but we're getting close. If you guys, if anybody in the audience has questions, use that hand raising function, at least on a PC. If you look at that react button down below, you can see hand gestures. Go ahead and raise your hand and we'll get everybody lined up. And then we'll be able to have each of you come on and ask your question. But for our panelists here, before we do that, I want to talk about any kind of fun or maybe not fun experiences, but also maybe a client or a project that really is a favorite of yours because it allowed you to utilize everything your company really has to offer and really shine. Adam, let's start with you.
I always love, when we do like a big movie or TV show, it's always so cool to me. And I feel like proud when I go to the set and I see all of our gear being used, because it's just so big. It's so much stuff. So when you go out there and you see all of our generators and you see stake beds, our trucks, our lights are all up, and you see all these technicians using all the things, it's such a cool feeling for me to see. And it's all the hard work that we do to keep all the gear right, quoting the job and do all this stuff, and to finally see it like out and all the technicians using it, it's such a cool feeling. So that's my favorite thing to do, is going to these big, jobs. Like the last one, Bad Monkey, it was so cool. The first day I went out, I was just like, I just felt proud,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mario, story time for you.
I would say probably like Adam said, on the bigger shows, when stuff's on, you kind of build some relationships there, and you see when you actually see it, and you say, hey, wow, I was part of that. When my kids especially, you know what I mean, they say, they oh really, what did you do? Well, I provided the equipment, those were my cameras, and that kind of stuff. So that's nice. And then the relationships that you build, you know what I mean? It's always kind of like some turn into colleagues, some turn into friends that you have. That is very nice. Like, it's nice that you kind of have a way to kind of connect with people through a project. Like it's kind of sets can kind of be seductive, you know what I mean? They, in the sense that, from my time when I used to be on set, go to kind of, you shoot a commercial someplace, you're shooting the best parts of that place. You're shooting in the nicest places. You're not shooting unless you're a journalist, you might not be you're going to shoot in the nice places, go to the nice things and see the nice things and make it look as good as possible. So sharing those experiences is probably one that would be for me.
Excellent. David, how about you?
Pretty much the same, like Mario and Adam. The shows, like right now, MIA is pretty exciting. My young employees, just showing them the ropes. Hey guys, this is major, guys. That's a Teamster. That's a stylist. Why so many trucks? Jesus, they get blown away. And stuff like fashion show, like Swim Week is always fun. I have ex-employees, hey, can I come back for Swim Week? And I'm like, no. And then of course Art Basel. We have a lot of, it's the fun thing about what I do is that it's not always the same. And we know that with fashion, it's my black makeup stations, my Z-Racks, it shows it's my wooden makeup stations and my changing rooms and, my 10 by 10 canopies. And so it's diverse. It's never always the same thing, but it's pretty, I love it when I have new guys and I'm just showing them the ropes. Hey, you don't call it a movie, you call it a show, or little things, all those little tidbits, the kids I never had. So it's fun.
JC, how about you?
Yeah, I'd say more of the film and TV shows that that we work on, being able to have the nostalgia of seeing things that have been shot here in Miami and running back like the Bad Boys that we've worked on, and the Birdcage, or also like the Bad Monkey. But one of my favorite shows that we worked on was called Magic City. Really
Yeah.
like the period pieces, being able to see everyone in costume, and it's just exciting, the relationships that we've built also, from how many people are on set, seeing the familiar faces. It's really nice to see them continue to work show over show here locally. Now we see more, I guess, on the bigger shows, we've seen more people coming from out of town, so not as many local faces on set. I guess more people have left to other states and stuff like that. So, but it's just nice those relationships that we've built, and for me, it's really the local period pieces that are pretty cool to watch.
Nice, nice. Okay, let's do a couple of audience questions. Dave, you were the first one to raise your hand, so I'm going to add the spotlight so everybody can see you. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hey guys, thanks for the invite today, by the way. It's great. A lot of good information. I'm with Cinegraphic Productions out of Fort Myers. I've been in the Florida production industry for about 30 years. Just recently incorporated my own company. So my question is sort of advocating for some of the incentives that Florida offers production companies and people in the industry that are trying to save money. And I wondered if you do find that the companies coming in to work with you guys are using the Florida Qualified Production Company state sales tax exemption, which is a program offered to qualified industry companies in Florida.
I can answer this. We get a lot of them. We advocate for them. It's on our website. When you go to our website, and we have new customer forms, they could have, insurance requirements, our contract, but we also have a link to the tax exemption certificate, because sometimes I might have a client that says, hey, can you knock a few bucks? And I said, yeah, I can knock a few bucks, but you got to help me help you and apply for the exemption. And once they apply, they realize if it might be a small job that's $800, that might not be a big deal. But if you got a camera package that's in thousands, it makes a difference. That's the money they could put towards another department. It could be more crafty. It could be anything, that they could divert, and it makes a big difference. But yes, we do see it, and we advocate when our clients come, even if they're from out of town, we advocate to them to get it. Absolutely.
Us as well. We do the same thing, Mario. We have it on our website. We always let the clients know it's available to them.
Yeah, thanks. I think that there's probably a lot of people that don't know that's available, and it does take some doing to go through the process of application approvals and so on, but it's definitely worth doing. We're not doing major features over here in Myers, and I appreciate what you guys have done, and it's really interesting to hear about your side of the business. So thanks.
Thanks for asking and bringing that up, Dave. I actually just put it in the chat box for everybody. The Florida Sales Tax Exemption Program, I put a link. If you do not have that, if you're not applying for that and using that for your day-to-day production, make sure you click on that link and fill out the form and get that sales tax exemption, because every little penny helps, that's for sure. Brandon, you were up next. If you want to turn on your camera, I can make sure everybody can see you, and go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, good morning. Sorry, my camera's having a little bit of trouble, John, but I wanted to touch base. My name is Brandon. I'm the production coordinator over at the Palm Beach County Film and Television Commission, and I just wanted to chime in. It sounds like there's a lot of great services that are available here, but I wanted to see if there were any challenges that would be posed for productions in Palm Beach County utilizing your services. I see that most of the companies are based out in Miami. I just wanted to get a little more information on that if possible.
So yeah, all of you are based in Miami, I believe, but I know you service all different areas. So speak to that if there's anything from a Palm Beach County specific, concern. Make sure Brandon can bring it back to the Film Commission and make sure that they're providing good service. Anything?
No.
Yeah,
We've been going to Palm Beach.
Yeah, we do jobs Palm Beach, Boca, Tampa.
Okay.
We have a package working in Jamaica right now, so we'll travel for you.
Great to know. Great to know. Just wanted to make sure if there was any like additional costs or challenges that we can relay that to applicants, but definitely looking for those kind of resources to make sure that when we have applicants come in, they have everything that they need.
Yeah, us too for, portable internet or walkie-talkies, we can get it out to you. We ship nationwide. We do work a lot in Palm Beach too, so no challenges. We're open to working more in Palm Beach.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you guys for the information. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for the question. Let's stop on that for 1 second. I want to make sure, like everybody knows here, you guys do service the entire state and beyond, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
The only thing that I can speak for like my department is a little different is typically when someone rents a camera package, they come to the shop and they do a checkout. So I think that's exclusive maybe to the camera department, basically where someone comes and the technicians come to the shop, they build the equipment, we make sure they are okay, that we adjust anything we need to adjust. The lens might need to be shimmed, whatever needs to be done. We adjust it once we get the approval of the camera system technician that's at the shop. Then a truck comes at the end of the day and they take it anywhere. It'll go. We ship, gear gets shipped, gear gets driven to wherever it goes. And so the one challenge that we might face as to anybody else is that they come to the shop when they check out a camera package. We do ship small pieces of equipment all the time, but when it's a full camera package, they'll come to the shop and it needs to be prepped.
That makes sense. David, okay, I see your hand raised. If you want to turn your camera on, if you're able to, I'll make sure everybody can see, but go ahead and ask your question.
There we go. Whoops. Hi, I'm Dave, and I own First Call Location Coach Rentals in Orlando. We go all over the state. One thing I noticed, I've been out of the state a couple times, and it hit my insurance really hard. So unless it's really a big deal, I don't go out of Florida. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, yeah. All good.
I want to thank Florida Film for helping me with my social media. I'm not really good at that, and that's the next chapter of my interest. I'm trying to get my social media, and I don't know if I don't know if this is a proper forum for that, or if there's another forum, or if there's any kind of websites or anything I can go in. We have such a diverse collection of customers. They're from all over the world, really. And they seem to diverge in the same 2 weeks in March every year. It's hard to fulfill all of that. But we have production motorhomes that we keep attended, and then we have a big truck that they come and pick up at our spot. We've got portable restrooms. They come and pick up at our spot. So we got a couple different types of equipment. But my biggest question today is how can I get a list of the players? I look on Production Hub, and you're not supposed to bother those people. So, and I don't know if that's an appropriate question, John.
Well, I mean, David, let's talk offline, and you and I can work out some of the things that you need. Happy to help. I mean, David is a relatively new member of Film Florida. I just copied his information into the chat box so you can check out his website. But yeah, David, happy to help. Go ahead and reach out to me directly, and you and I can work offline, and I can help get some of the information that you need.
But I know our company's benefited by being tagged with you guys. I put it on our stationery, and like I said, the quarterly help with the postings has been good. And we got that big truck out there, and we worked that on the Epic commercial for Universal. And that was an awesome way to get that back out there too. So
excellent.
To be a part of the team. Thank you.
Thanks for joining, David.
Okay.
All right. I have another question that I wanted to throw out to you guys. Talk about developing the relationships. I mean, the loyalty, like it's much easier to have a repeat client than have to find new ones all the time. So Adam, let's start with you. Like, talk a little bit about the customer service and how you guys work to build those relationships. Not just with the clients, but the crew as well.
Yeah, to me, that's the most important thing is the relationships. For the crew, it's great because I know them all personally for the most part. They all have my cell phone number. So there's times when, they have a question, they need something, they can just text me or text, anyone at the shop and get answers they need. So it's super important. That's like that's the service and unique producer service. For the producers, it's the same thing. We want them to feel like getting the grip and lighting part is effortless. The less stress on them, the better. They want to be able to, they know they come to us, everything's going to be there on time, how it needs to be. So that's always the goal for us, is to make it super easy for everybody.
Mario, you talk about that as well with from both the client and the crew perspective from your guys.
Well, with us, you got to do a good job. It's pretty simple. You got to do a good job. You know what I mean? You're there to provide a service, and we're in an industry where kind of, like I said before, it's all subjective. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors, and you can kind of say you're going to do a thing, and then can be interpreted another way. So we try to kind of always drive to deliver excellence. You're only as good as your last job, as what I tell my guys, you know what I mean? Like if you make a mistake, you got to own it, and you got to kind of, fall on the sword. You got to fall on the sword and make it right. That might be adjusting budget. That might be kind of providing the gear, going on set and fixing it, whatever it is. And that's how you retain clients. I'd rather have a guy or a client come in and work with me 10 times a year and me be able to help them with their budget than get them one time and really make a profitable job. And then the next time they say, you know what, I'm going to go somewhere else. This is a two-way street. I want to repeat. I want guys to come back. It's not like getting one guy one time and saying, oh, well, I really got him. Yeah, I really made my money on that job. Okay, but the next time they went to somebody else. So that's key for me.
JC, how about your relationships?
Yeah, building relationships is key for us too. I feel like the better the relationship, the longer term the relationship, the better we can service them, the more we learn about them and their needs and how we need to adjust when we need to adjust, depending on what type of production it is. But more than anything, it's just the quality of our equipment and the way we deliver it. Every time, you don't want to have a problem with a walkie or with walkies on set. Like I said before, it just creates a lot of chaos within it. So we want to be known for, like, one of the things that we do is that we program all our equipment differently. Every job is differently programmed. So that really helps no interference within jobs, and not having to fight another production that's in the area for the channels and stuff. So more than anything is tailoring certain things that a lot of customers don't even know, that we try to bring more to light lately. But it's something that our due diligence that we do to make sure that they have a smooth running production, everything smooth, whether it's the delivery, whatever time, we're always on call. After hours, like I said, after hour services, and really try to build those relationships, and feel like we've been doing a good job, and reducing mistakes as much as possible, even though those last minute stuff makes us run and we could have a mistake. But if there's anything that goes wrong, we correct it. If we have to replace anything, we will replace it. And we're always standing by. So customer service, I think, is our biggest competitive advantage of what we do.
Now, David, as we talked about, you operate across multi-industry, so it isn't just the film industry. So I'm assuming you have to deal with a lot of different personalities, not just film related. So talk a little bit about the good and the bad of that.
It's quite a challenge. I call it, we become chameleons, because, for example, the fashion people I just dealt with right now, Yves Saint Laurent. The makeup mirrors all have to be black and the same height. We just got rejected. I had to do a 40% cancellation because, 4 of my mirrors were half an inch off from the other ones, and it's just trying to deal with that kind of stuff, and just, hey, trying to, our apologies, hey, we were trying to, repair a situation where you guys, there's no choice. You can't get mirrors anywhere else, or, so it's the challenge of, there's some people that are, hey, in New York, we get 20% off, what's with this, why do we have to pay so much? Or, we have 2-day weeks, what's the, so we have to adapt to, everybody's different styles. The show people are different from the music video people. Commercial people are different from, the fashion people, it's just such a range. So we have to definitely be a chameleon. We definitely have to know. Oh, here come the the tough cookies that they're gonna want everything for pennies, or the ones that are pushovers, or the ones we have some we have to babysit, and we have some that constantly they're on point and they do all their paperwork and so forth. So yeah, we do have a very large variety.
Let's talk a little bit about technology for a second. Adam, what is either the best or the worst impact of technology over the last, we'll say, decade or so on your business?
It's tough because it's great for the technicians, the technology, because LEDs is really taking over. That's the main light now, where not too long ago it was fluorescence and tungsten and HMIs. So with the LEDs, power consumption goes down. We have a lot of big toe plants, which aren't as popular anymore because you don't need as much power. So it's constantly changing. And with technology, it's a lot of boards where old school tungsten lights, it's not much to it. They're fail safe, where LEDs have a lot more working parts. So there is more chance of something going down. But technology is always changing. We always have to adapt. We have to stay with it. We're constantly investing in new gear. And that's it. It's just staying up with it.
Yeah. Mario, how about you? Technology, good or bad for your part of the business?
Look, technology is what drives my business now, but the biggest challenge I think is, years ago, you could use a piece of a professional camera. You could tell it was a professional camera because of the image it produced. Now, you can get equipment at a fraction of the cost. I remember when I was a PA and, I wanted to shoot something, you might be able to, in the weekend, the production coordinator might say, you might be able to shoot something. You might go to Continental Film Lab and you might be able to process some short ends or something that you have. And that was the way you did it. And then you have to figure out how to edit it. Now, on a laptop, you can, somebody gets out of high school and they buy a camera, even a still camera, and they shoot video. They edit it, they process. DaVinci, which is a program that kind of, gives you all these parameters to be able to kind of adjust your footage, is free. They give it to you for free. You can download it for free. It's readily available. You can produce something and put it online and it looks great, and you have huge projects that are being shot, even in the professional world, you know what I mean? Like a show called a movie called The Creator that was shot with little FX3 cameras. Those cameras are about $4,000 a piece compared to an Alexa or a Sony Venice, which is almost $100,000. But has theatrical release, and that's, technology is great, but it also puts it in the hands of people that think that the value of the equipment that you spend, and you have a camera that's $100 is not that valuable anymore to some people, because they might say this is for social. We don't need that kind of camera. But then you have a DP who wants to use that kind of camera. So you're riding the balance of catering to somebody who just thinks it's good enough, somebody who wants to have the latest and greatest kind of piece of equipment. So now you have equipment that yields results that are, to the average person, just as good or good enough to kind of execute your vision with something that's much cheaper.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. JC, how about you? The technology helped or hurt you guys?
No, technology has actually helped us in when we talk about expansion, we have walkie-talkies that also we provide to all industries. It's not just film, even though film is our main industry, but we do work with security, hospitality, transportation. So every customer has a different need of how they use the radios. But technology in the way of it's kind of like a Nextel style. We work with a Motorola offering called Wave, and that is a cellular-based walkie-talkie that has a capability of Wi-Fi connection in areas that don't have a cellular connection, inside buildings where it was harder to be able to get communication, and that goes nationwide. So we can really tailor those type of groups to having longer communication. A lot of times people want to talk farther than they can. We've been trying to get production to have one of those walkies, one on set, one in the like the production office, and maybe one on transport, just to be able to see what's going on. So it's been trying to show them. They haven't really, worked on it, worked with us on it, but we have that to offer also, so they can be in quicker communication. But I feel like technology is just super fast in our industry when it comes to the digital side of the walkie-talkie that production doesn't really use, but in other industries it is really needed, and they want to have the latest, and we program it, and just quick changes.
David, I don't know if technology necessarily hits a lot of the stuff that you do, but I mean, advances in general in the stuff that you supply, I'm sure has. So talk a little bit about, talk a little bit about that.
I mean, for example, like work lights. Like I have recently bought some battery operated work lights because, now you don't need to get a generator. I always have people on the field in the Everglades or wherever, work lights, everything from loading their trucks or like say my wobble lights that they light 360 degrees, 100 feet radius. If you're lighting up a parking lot, I always tell the client, hey, what is the work light for? Is it for a 5 a.m. crew call, or is it because if you're going to be using it to load your truck and the director's still shooting over there, you don't want my wobble light. You want a light that shoots directly. So technology, like right now, I bought some new work lights that are battery operated. Not wild about them. No, the ones that I bought, I call it Fisher Price. When they're like, they're just for the rental industry. It has to be, especially my world, it really has to be able to take a beating. So, in the other sense of technology, for example, I do floor matting and layout board. Like when they're shooting in a mansion or at a location, I'm now looking into bringing a new thing where I saw it at it was a catered event, and it was in Hibiscus Island, and I saw these floor mats with a low tack, so low stick, and they roll out and they could cut. So I was like, whoa, I've never seen this before. So now I'm trying it out on location jobs. I tried it out on one. So keeping up with the technology, it's true with mine. There's nothing crazy about the latest and greatest cooler that has a little spigot, So in the of certain items like the generators, or the work lights, that was the recently operated one. So people don't have to get Jennies and stuff like that, or even the bulbs, the LED world. I'm getting rid of all my old work lights that are not LED, that they bust out all this crazy heat. So technology in that sense, but it's true. I don't have too much audio visual or, stuff like that. Of course I have hazers and foggers and stuff like and work lights, but not as much as Mario and Adam or JC.
All right, so we got a question in the chat from Earl. Well, I think this is probably going to be a quick one. To all the panelists, have the lack of a state film entertainment incentive affected your biz? Are the local incentives helping? So, okay, not that I want to take away your time, but I'm assuming the answer is yes, the lack of state incentive has impacted your business. And do the local incentives help to a point? I'm assuming that is yes, they're better than nothing.
Yes.
One thing I'd like to see that I've spoke with some colleagues about is there's a Broward incentive and a Miami-Dade incentive. And I know there was some talk, and I was speaking to some colleagues about maybe joining them, but if there was like a tri-county incentive that, because from what I understand it is 70% of the crew or talent has to come from that particular county. But how many, I'm just speaking of commercials for right now. How many commercials have, they have a location in Miami and they have a location in on Broward, or how many technicians, live in Fort Lauderdale and work in Miami all the time, or vice versa? It doesn't make them a foreigner. They're still live, they were talking about 10 miles away. You know what I mean? If you're shooting a commercial in Hollywood, but you have a guy that lives in North Miami Beach, they're closer, I'm down south in South Miami, they're closer than me, So I think something like that would really benefit, because I think there's a lacking of just maybe, joining those two that would really open up to kind of more people to take advantage of that incentive.
Yeah, and I think, I don't want to speak for other people that aren't necessarily on this call. I think there definitely is a desire to have a regional incentive in South Florida. Most people that are in charge, I think, would be in support of that. I think there are some that are not in support of that because they don't want to, quote unquote, share. And so it's an ongoing conversation that hopefully will continue amongst the counties down there. I haven't been directly involved in that because that isn't my purview, but I know there is a desire to do that. And I think the local incentives in those areas were the first step. And I think everybody kind of wanted to see, how are they going to work? Are they going to work? What are some of the benefits and challenges? And I think the next logical step would be that conversation of, okay, this is working. We're happy with this. Let's see how we can make this better. And the regional part of it definitely would make things a little bit better. And then, Earl, to your question about incentives for commercials as opposed to the one and done features, or if we're lucky enough, TV series. I think that also, I don't want to speak for our panelists. You guys can all jump in there. The challenge with that is from the local areas, they want that bigger ROI, and that's, and we talk to them about the volume of commercials when you're grouping them together. And again, I think that's not out of the realm of possibility, but when you're having some of these kickoff meetings and getting them on board with the concept of a local incentive, at least I know that from my conversations in Orange County, the commercials, they kind of nod their head, but then when they ask like total impact of a single commercial versus a feature or an independent film or a television series, that's where you kind of lose them a little. But I think that certainly could be, just like the regional incentive, the kind of the next step is maybe getting them a little bit more on board with commercials and grouping commercials together and those type of things. But anybody else on the panel want to touch on incentives there? No? Okay. So I do want to go around before we wrap up and give each of our panelists an opportunity to give websites, social media, anything else they want to plug, make sure our audience is aware of. Adam, you go ahead and go first.
Okay. Our website is uniqueproducers.com, Instagram @uniqueproducers, and you can email me direct at adam@uniqueproducers.com.
There you go. Quick. JC, how about you?
Yeah, for us, it's our website is tradeaudio.com. Our social is also on Instagram @tradeaudio. You can find all our other socials through there also. And for the company email, you can reach us at info@tradeaudio.com.
Excellent. Mario?
Yeah, for us, it's marmedia.com, marmedia.com. Instagram, it's @marmedia Cine Rentals. And email would be info@marmedia.com. We can be reached. Happy to help on any kind of project, big or small.
David, last but not least, give us your information.
So my website is Anytime Rentals Miami, and the Instagram is Anytime Rentals Miami as well. And yeah, pretty much I'm revising it because my website, I did it back in 2005, and if you go to it, it is pretty antiquated. So I am in the process of revamping it as we speak.
Excellent. Excellent. So that's going to wrap up another edition of Film Florida Friday. Thanks to Adam, Mario, David, and JC for being with us. Thanks to all of you for joining us today. As always, thanks to Katie Collins for helping me wrangle and prepare for Film Florida Friday each month. Our next Film Florida Friday is going to be Friday, May 16th, with a discussion about on-set education for minors. Be on the lookout for all of that info in email blasts and on our social media pages. As always, thanks to our Film Florida members for their continued support. If you're not a member of Film Florida, we're a 501c3 nonprofit, so we hope you'll consider joining the organization at filmflorida.org. Your support helps us do things like Film Florida Fridays. Keep up with everything we're doing on our social media pages. And finally, check out the Film Florida podcast, which is available on most podcast outlets. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. Thanks again for being here, everybody. Stay safe out there.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for
Have a
having
good
us.
weekend, everybody.
Appreciate it, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.